Nation, Hebrew Kingdom Building.
If you don't have a parent. So so let's recap real quick, y'all. So last week we brought out a lesson as a leadership council. Yaya talked about the 7 cycles. And then Uriah started talking about the DNA and the ladder and the changing of it. Zakane talked about the armor, and then I was talking about the epigenetics. How do you change your DNA based on what you put in your face and what you become intimate with? So I'm gonna give you a second to jog your mind, because I was 2 weeks behind too. How have y'all implemented that? Let's get Hoda, and we get the 2. We got 2 emails with the. What in the world? Hallelujah. Praise Yahushua. We'll get Hoda, and then we get the email.
Well, for me, I already wasn't watching, like, I could only watch like teachings and stuff like that. But I don't know, watching more teachings and remembering, like, well, I've just been kind of remembering more like scriptures or whatnot, like and I kind of dug more into that DNA thing, kind of did more research into that, and I put in a chat what I was getting from that. I think that's about it.
Yeah, no, that's through. So the watching of the teachings is a big one, because that's actually how you begin to duplicate. You begin to duplicate because they have a different level of authority in the Shamayim. So through watching those things, you begin to implement those things. Like, you're not gonna watch it and then go do the opposite of what it say. Ain't nobody in here gonna do that. So as you're watching these things, especially that teaching at the library that Mushal brought up on Rosh Kodesh, I watched that this week. That was insanely. They started off. They said, I was telling Dasa. They said we're gonna do a basic teaching, and then I'm gonna just tell y'all what Torah is, and then we're gonna bring Mushal up to do the Torah portion. Well, I didn't see Mushal until about 50 minutes in, but no, that teaching was powerful. So no, that's a great answer, sis. That's a great answer. You had something? Epigenetics. Yeah, that's the epigenetics. Yeah, Khan. Go ahead, Ima.
Okay, what I've been doing is really the only thing I've been doing really. I might look at a little junk every now and then, but the most things I be doing is a lot of praying, reading scriptures, meditating on the scriptures, meditating, a lot of teaching, even going to sleep with it and doing like Holder said, sticking my earplug in my left ear so it can bypass everything and get in that right brain. And so a whole lot of that. I sleep. Sometimes I'll be wanting to sit with scriptures playing and teaching playing and try to confuse myself. But, and I like when I'm home by myself because I had a TV on upstairs with one thing, the TV on blasting downstairs with another thing, and my phone going off. So I try to keep it in the house. Yeah.
No, that's it. Just putting stuff inside of you. Because that's a lot how the Ruach work, man. Melik talk about that all the time. Imayasha, you had something?
All of that. Shabbat shalom. Kind of, basically the same, just trying to get more of the word in. Again, the listening to more word, falling asleep with it on. I have just, whether it's the Bible playing or lessons playing or specific scriptures playing all night on loop, on low, listening at work, that thing, Holta, wherever you are, which you posted was really through. I really appreciated that. just however I can get more word in me. I just really been focusing on that. And just really crying out. I feel like I always cry out to the Most High, but just continuing to do that. And just, trying to be in all sincerity and examining myself to where am I really being open and honest with him about things, and just really focusing on those kinds of things. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. So something Mushal said on Rosh Kodesh really stuck out to me. He was talking about the tree of life. I told you it took me about 12 hours to process that message, but he was talking about, you can pass that back to Benny Yahoo, please. So if the tree of life is something that we have access to, that's a huge deal. Because when you look at the responsibility that comes with that, this is a window of time, y'all. It ain't gonna be like, oh, well, you ain't gonna get it now, but you can go back and get it next year. Nah, you gotta be all the way dialed in right now. Because whatever you're practicing, you're becoming. And we're so close to the end now. What's Revelation say? It says, let the righteous be righteous. Let the Kodesh be Kodesh. Let the wicked steal. Let the righteous be righteous still. Let the Kodesh be Kodesh still. Let the wicked be wicked still. So whatever, it's a sealing. So whatever you're practicing, you're getting ready to manifest and become. So that's why we got to make sure that we're dialed in, because it's the Ruach bringing all this stuff out now. And everything that we're talking about really is like a chain. It's all tied together. So, man, that's Stu. Please continue to practice everything that you're hearing. Meditate on it. Hold on. I don't think I saw what you put in the chat. You put that in the... Oh, you put it in the Akio chat? Oh, man, I need to see that. Okay. You just tag me in it. Okay. Praise Yahusha. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. All right, so we're gonna get into this now. So all this, like I said, all of this is gonna link together, y'all. Everything is tied together. So last week, leadership talked about the cycles, and then he talked about the ladders. We talked about how you got to be prepared for certain things. What we see in the Torah portion is we see Jacob now finally going back to face Esau. It's a really big deal. So we actually going to read Bereshit 32. We're going to do a lot more reading than I think we have the last few weeks. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Bereshit 32. We're just going to start at verse 1. We're going to read this entire chapter. We're going to walk through this entire chapter. And as you go there, let me just kind of build up the expectation a little bit, because it's on the screen, but we're going to talk about how to be transformed. Again, all this leans back to the DNA, but how to be transformed. How do you, what does Yahuwah require of us? Then we're going to talk about kings and priests a little bit, and then some stuff about Esau, but then we'll be done. Yaakov. Yeah. I think it's supposed to be 2 ways. I'm pretty sure it is. All right. Ready? Gone.
Genesis chapter 32, verse 1. So Yaakov went on his way, and that Malachim of Elua met him. When Yaakov saw them, he said, "This is Elua's camp." And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. Then Yaakov sent messengers before him to Esau his brother in the land of Seir, the country of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, "Speak thus to my Adon Esau. Thus your servant Yaakov says, I have dwelt with Laban and stayed there until now. I have oxen, donkeys, flocks, and male and female servants, and I have sent to tell my Adon that I may find favor in your sight." Then the messengers returned to Yaakov, saying, "We have came to your brother Esau, and he also is coming to meet you, and 400 men are with him."
Read that verse one more time.
Verse 6. Then the messengers returned to Yaakov, saying, "We came to your brother Esau, and he also is coming to meet you, and 400 men are with him."
So, why do y'all think Esau about 400 men? You think he was ready to go to war? Okay. May have heard some stories. Okay. You're not supposed to be answering. You can't be answering. You need a mic if you're gonna say something. So yeah, 400 men. So y'all, I know in Christianity they teach like, oh man, Esau came and he had real true intentions. That's why when he met Jacob, they just kind of hugged and stuff like that. Look, y'all, Esau was not coming to hug it out. He was not coming to hug Jacob. I'm gonna prove it to you because this number 400 is actually very, very significant. So we're gonna hit a few scriptures. Go to 1 Samuel chapter 30. And I'm gonna show you like this number 400. This happens often in the scripture, and every time it happens, particularly with this number 400, it's because they're getting ready to go to war. Esau was not playing about Jacob. He wasn't. Now there was something that seemed to happen to Esau on the way. Maybe it was the gifts that Jacob sent. Maybe it had something to do with the Malachim that Jacob ran into at the beginning and called the place 2 camps. There was a camp of Malachim, and then he had his camp. That's why it's called 2 camps. When you think about a camp, that's not 1 or 2 people. Jacob saw tons of Malachim there. Actually, Mushal did a lesson on this on Pecan Street, I believe. I think that was Pecan Street. He did a lesson about that where it was here as well? Okay. Yeah, man. Esau wasn't about that life like that. But Jacob was terrified of Esau. But let's get 1 Samuel 30. Let's start at 10 through 17.
Con. 1 Samuel chapter 30, verse 10. But Dawood pursued, he and 400 men. For 200 stayed behind, who were so weary that they could not cross the brook Besor.
Mm-hmm.
Then they found a Mizraite in the field and brought him to Dawid. And they gave him bread and he ate, and they let him drink water. And they gave him a piece of cake of figs and 2 clusters of raisins. So when he had eaten, his strength came back to him, for he had eaten no bread nor drunk water for 3 days and 3 nights. Then Dawid said to him, to whom do you belong, and where are you from? And he said, I am a young man from Mizraim, servant of an Amalekite, and my master left me behind because 3 days ago I fell sick.
Mm-hmm.
We made an invasion of the southern area of the Kerethites in the territory which belongs to Yehuda, and of the southern area of Caleb, and we burned Ziklag with fire.
So Ziklag was the place that Dawood was camped out at the time. Dawood went out to war, and all the women and children were left at Ziklag. So it says that Dawood went out with how many men? Not you, Benny-Yahu. 400 men. He went out with 400 men to make peace. Go ahead, skip down to read 16 and 17.
Verse 16, and when he had brought him down, they were there, spread out all over the land, eating and drinking and dancing, because of all the great spoil which they had taken from the land of the Philistines and from the land of Yehuda. Then Dawid attacked them from twilight until the evening of the next day. Not a man of them escaped, except 400 young men who rode on camels and fled.
So Dawood attacked the Amalekites with 400 men. He had 600, but 200 because their wives and their children was missing was too weak to fight. As far as like heart-wise, emotion-wise, they wasn't ready for battle at that state. So 400 men, just like Esau went up with 400 men, it wasn't to make peace, it was to attack. Go to 1 Kings 22. This is important, y'all. I know it's like, okay, well, we get it, 400 men. No, it's important. It's all going to tie together because we're going to talk about these 400 that's coming against y'all. Let's start at verse 1 and let's read through verse 6.
1 Kings chapter 22, verse 1. Now 3 years passed without war between Syria and Yasharal. Then it came to pass in the 3rd year that Jehoshaphat, the king of Yehuda, went down to visit the king of Yasharal. And the king of Yasharal said to his servants, do you know that Ramoth in Gilead is ours, but we hesitate to take it out of the hand of the king of Syria? So he said to Jehoshaphat, will you go with me to fight at Ramoth Gilead?
Mm-hmm.
Jehoshaphat said to the king of Yasharal, I am as you are, my people as your people. my horses as your horses.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Jehoshaphat said to the king of Yasharal, please inquire for the word of Yahuwah today. Then the king of Yasharal gathered the prophets together,
How many?
about 400 men, and said to them, shall I go against Ramoth Gilead to fight, or shall I refrain? So they said, go up, for Yahuwah will deliver it into the hand of the king.
So again, we see 400 prophets gathered this time. First time with Daud, we saw, well, really it's the second time. With Daud, we saw 400 soldiers gathered together. With Ahab, we see 400 prophets gathered together. Now, spoiler alert, it's not going to work out well for Ahab. Okay? Spoiler alert. But y'all can read the rest if you want to see it. But again, we see the number 400. There's something significant going on in this Torah portion with the number 400. So let's go down to 2 Chronicles chapter 13. Go a few books over. That's 2 books over. We're going to go to chapter 13, and we're going to look at verse 1 through 3. 13. 1 Chronicles 13. Yeah, 1 Chronicles 13, 1 through 3. Oh, 2 Chronicles, told I love. 2 Chronicles. I'm sorry, y'all. Let me give y'all the whole thing all over again. I done changed about 5 numbers. 2 Chronicles, chapter 13, verse 1 through 3.
First, 2 Chronicles chapter 13, verse 1. In the 18th year of King Jeroboam, Abijah became king over Yehuda. He reigned 3 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Micaiah, the daughter of Uriel of Gibeah. And there was war between Abijah and Jeroboam.
There was what?
War between Abijah and Jeroboam.
All right, keep going.
Abijah set the battle in order with an army of valiant warriors, 400,000 choice men.
Mm-hmm.
Jeroboam also drew up in battle formation against him with 800,000 choice men, mighty men of valor.
So 400 sets of thousands is what we see here. Once again, it wasn't for peace. It was not for shalom. Esau was not coming to Jacob to hug him out. Why y'all think it was that Jacob was so afraid that Esau was coming? Why y'all think it was? He wasn't just happy and rejoiceful. Right. That's exactly right. He said he was going to kill him for the birthright. Esau was not playing about that birthright. He was angry at Jacob. Because normally when you have a friendly thing, you have somebody coming, like the Queen of Sheba did not come with 400 soldiers. She came with soldiers. She came with gifts, offerings, all these different things that she would come bring to Solomon. So I'm just driving home the point that Esau was coming for war. Esau was coming for war. It was not shalom. It was not peace. It was not a time of rejoicing. Esau was coming to kill Jacob. Now, when he show up, something different happened. But every picture you see about this Torah portion is going to show us a scene of shalom. That was not Esau's intent. Esau was coming to kill him. Let's look one more. Let's go to Acts. Acts chapter 5. So this account you'll read in the history of the Jews. You won't see it's in the Torah necessarily, but Acts chapter 5, look at verse 32 through 30. Let's see, 36.
Acts chapter 5, verse 32. And we are his witnesses to these things. And so also is the Ruach HaKodesh, whom Yahuwah has given to those who obey him. When they heard this, they were furious and plotted to kill them. Then one in the council stood up, a Pharisee named Gamaliel, a teacher of the law held in respect by all the people, and commanded them to put the apostles outside for a little while. And he said to them, Men of Yasharal, take heed to yourselves that you intend to do regarding this man. For some time ago, Thaddeus rose up, claiming to be somebody. A number of men,
How
about
many?
400,
400.
joined him. He was slain, and all who obeyed him were scattered and came to nothing.
So just like a little bit of history, was somebody that was considered the Messiah in that time, in that day. And they said, well, you know, Yahusha came, or I think actually he may have been before Yahusha, but he raised up and was like, I'm going to overthrow the Roman Empire. with 400 men, and they killed every one of them. But again, it wasn't, he didn't say we're going to go have tea with the Roman Empire. We're going to go eat some cookies with the Roman Empire and make peace with them. It's about war. It is about war. Everything that we're seeing with this 400 is about war. So we're going to look a little deeper at this, the Hebrew for 400. Hadassah is going to explain that.
Khan. So we're going to look specifically at the number 4. Ladine, what's the number 4 in Hebrew? Don't read it. Arba. Arba, okay? So we're going to look specifically at that number. So as we know, the number 4, usually when you hear the number 4, that represents like a testing and trials, right? So let's look at it here. Okay, the root word for arba is rabah, which actually means like square or the 4 sides of a square, and that's resh, bet, ayin. Y'all see the pictograph letters up here? It's right here. Resh, bet, ayin. Okay. All right, so we're going to look at those 3 letters. Test, test, test. It's on. It's red.
Should have turned the mic off before I gave it to you. That's how you save the battery.
All right, test, test, test. All right, hallelujah. All right, so again, it's resh, bet, ayin, okay? So looking at those 3 letters, we know that resh means chief or most important. Bet means house, and ayin means to see or to experience, right? So if we're looking at this, the word rabbah means what is chiefly inside is revealed. And so you can see how that's related to testing and trials, right? So this is something we've talked about before, about how testing and proofing brings to the forefront what is inside of you. So for example, gold, when gold is proofed, the impurities are brought forth, right? So the number 4, like I was saying, represents testing and affliction. So some other examples in the scripts with the number 4 are how many years did Israel spend in the wilderness? 40 years. So that was time of trials and testing, right? Also, 400 years of affliction, right? There's been 400 years of affliction of our people. So affliction and testing reveal what's inside of you. So this is showing how this was a testing. This is a testing for Yaakov. Also, if you look and see that it means, the number 4 means square, that's something that really stood out to me, that it means square. Because if you're looking in math, or even in carpentry, right? A square is a tool that's used in carpentry, and it's something that makes even measurements, right? Have y'all ever seen like a square? The square tool, okay. And so it makes even measurements. The square is equal all the way around, it's equal sides, it's equal corners. So the square tool that's used in carpentry, I should have shown y'all, should have put a picture up, but it's basically a standard that makes sure that what you're measuring is in alignment, right? That it's not crooked. And so that just goes to show how your trials and your tests, they come to proof you and bring out the impurities, but they're also a form of measurement to see where you stand, to make sure that you're straight, to make sure that you're not crooked. And so I think that's all I have for the number 4.
So keeping that in mind, let's go back to Bereshit 32. I told y'all we're going to look at this whole chapter today. Bereshit 32. What was the main thing? Let's see. Let me have some of the Yeladim. If you under 20, you can answer this. What was the main thing we was talking about during worship today? Come on, Jordan. Oh, Mike? Yeah, you can use this one.
Fear.
The main thing that we were talking about in worship today was fear. Now, she said that the number 4, it was Resh Bet Ayin, and it was, how did you say it was chiefly testing what's inside the house, or the chief testing what's inside the house?
What's chiefly inside of the house?
What's chiefly inside of the house is revealed. God. So let's look at what happened with Jacob. Let's look at what happened with Jacob, y'all. So in verse 6, I think that's where we stopped. It says, then the messengers returned to Jacob saying, we have come to your brother Esau, and he's coming to meet you with 400 men. Read verse 7, Aki.
Verse 7. So Yaakov was greatly afraid.
He was what?
Greatly afraid.
He was not fearful at all.
Greatly afraid.
He was greatly bold.
Greatly afraid.
He was brave and grabbed a sword.
greatly afraid.
Okay, they listened and they heard you that time. All right, go
and
ahead.
distressed.
And he was anxious. What? Yaakov, again, this is why we had to go through 400, because Yaakov knew, oh, my brother, my crazy brother, coming with 400 men? Nah, he knew what the deal was, and he became greatly afraid. Keep going. Verse 7.
And he divided the people that were with him, and the flocks and herds and camels into 2 companies. And he said, if Esau comes to the one company and attacks it, then the other company which is left will escape. Then Yaakov said, O Eluah of my father Abraham, and Eluah of my father Isaac, Yahuwah who said
Hold
to
on,
me.
hold on. Let me stop you there. Let's look at verse 7 and 8 closely. So we in Genesis 32. I want y'all to see what Yaakov did, because I want to show you his fear. So Yaakov had this habit that when things got bad, he ran. When things got bad originally, his mama actually sent him to Laban, but it was a form of him running from his brother. Things got bad with Laban, and he ran from Laban. Now things are getting bad with Esau. I'm going to show you what he was doing, because sometimes we read this and we like, he just wrestling with Amalek. Nah, that was Yahuwah interrupting him from running. So verse 7 and 8 says that he separated his camp into 2 tribes. He like, this way, if one gets attacked, the other one can get away, because he can't attack us both at the same time. That shows you that Yaakov, he had not only livestock, but he had men with him. Yaakov had men with him. Now, let me ask you, what's the difference between Yaakov's men and Esau's men? Right? Most of us would have been like, hey, man, you got your people, I got my people. We'll see what it do. That's how we would have been, especially if you're from Killeen. Oh, y'all have mercy. Woo. Watch out, y'all, in Killeen. Don't get caught up in nothing. But but he had men. The reason you know he had men is he sent people ahead of him to go meet Esau. So he had men with him. It wasn't just livestock and animals. But Yaakov, thank you, son. Yaakov became afraid of his brother Esau. But this is Yaakov that we talking about. So I'm gonna skip down. We'll come back and we'll read it. But verse 7 and 8 says he separated into 2 camps. But what happens is in the middle of the night, let's skip down a little bit, Aki. Go to verse 20.
Genesis chapter 32, verse 20.
Start at 19, I'm sorry.
Verse 19. So he commanded the second, the third, and all who followed the droves, saying, in this manner you shall speak to Esau when you find him. And also say, behold, your servant Yaakov is behind us. For he said, I will appease him with the present that goes before me, and afterward I will see his face. Perhaps he will accept me.
He said, I will see his what?
See his face.
Read 20 again. Listen to that phrase. We're going to come back to it.
And also, behold, your servant Yaakov is behind us. For he said, I will appease him with the present that goes before me. and afterward I will see his face. Perhaps he will accept me.
So this is an important phrase in the Torah portion, because this is Yaakov instructing his young men, or his men that ran before him, what to say. He said, send these sheep out, and that he can appease Esau, and then afterward I will see whose face? This is, hallelujah, this is talking about seeing Esau's face. He gonna see a face, but he not gonna meet Esau. But he's going to see a face when he gets there. Now, keep going. One more verse.
Verse 21. So the present went on before him, but he himself lodged that night in the camp.
Next verse.
Verse 22. And he arose that night and took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 sons, and crossed over the ford of Jabbok.
So, let me ask y'all this. So he already had a plan, right? What was the original plan? Right, and then he separated his camp into how many people? All right, so if he separated his camp into 2 different groups, why is it that in verse 22 he arose in the middle of the night, took his wives, female servants, 11 sons, and crossed over the ford Jabbok? Read the next verse. It says, he took them, sent them over the brook, and sent over what he had. So he now takes these 2 camps that he has, he wakes them all up in the middle of the night and sends them over the water. Why would he do that? He didn't want to fight? Okay, but he already had a plan though. Mm. God, it's possible, yeah. And to summarize, what you say, Imayasha? Fear. That's it. That was the explanation too. No, you're right. You're right. You're not wrong. You're right. Hey, look. Hey, that's how we are sometimes. But it was fear. So because of his fear, he created a backup plan. Was you gonna bring that up? Yeah, come on. No, come on.
Yeah. No, that's true. Bechad, hallelujah. Yeah, so because of his fear, he created a backup plan, right? He said, let's see, it's in verse 8. He says, if Esau comes to one company and attacks it, then the other company, which is left, will escape. So because he was afraid, that he split up into 2 camps, and he created a backup plan. And it's just very interesting, because I know it was not too long ago that it had come out, the word had come out about that, with us, and that there were some that had backup plans. What if it doesn't work? What if, do I have a backup plan? And so, but the reason that he created these backup plans wasn't just because, okay, I want to be a Thub steward, or, I want to, just plan. It was out of fear. Right.
It was out of fear. I see Ima. What'd you say, huh? You gonna say that?
Okay. So something else about the 2 companies, right? So another way that we can split ourselves up into 2 companies is something that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, and that is having 2 faces. Having 2 faces as a result of fear. So what Yaakov did was he stayed in one camp, and then he split up and he separated himself, right, from another camp. So he's saying, okay, well, if Esau comes to this one company, then the other company will escape. So sometimes we do that when we put on false faces, right? Because you'll put on this face and you'll be like, okay, well, at least if this does happen, like say I get corrected or something, my false face can show up instead of my real face. It won't be exposed.
Create your backup plan in your mind.
Right, you create your backup plan in your mind. So it's also related to the false faces.
So let me tell you how that sound in your head to identify it. Somebody will say something to you don't like, and you'll immediately make an excuse. Hey, look, I just want to let you know you shouldn't have done that. Well, no, you should have explained it better. That's your backup plan, because now you're like, I'm gonna preserve myself. I'm going to split it up. Nah, it's not my fault. It's your fault. Well, look, I just want to let you know that, hey, you know, when you did that, I saw you defaulting. No, I wasn't defaulting. No, you defaulted because you're telling me that I'm defaulting. That's how we be. That's how we be. That's the backup plan that we create in our mind. Whoever be like, hey, I need you to go do this. And then we'll create a whole scenario in our mind, y'all. That's what Yaakov was doing. So that's why when he would separate into these two camps, all of a sudden the middle of the night come and he got a whole nother plan. Fear will drive you just to go do stuff. Fear will drive you to do that. Something happened in your marriage, you just gonna start working. Go. You're gonna try and fix it. Versus sitting and praying. Because see, the thing is, Yaakov prayed. Read verse 9 through I think it's 9 through 16. Yaakov was praying to Yahuwah. Let's look at it real quick. Yeah, it's verse 9 through 12. Told about 9 through 12. He says, "O Eluah of my father Abraham, Eluah of my father Isaac, Yahuwah who said to me, return to your country and your family, and I will deal with you. I am not worthy of the least of all your mercies and all the truth which you have shown to your servant. For I crossed over this Jordan with my staff, and now I have become how many companies? 2 companies. Deliver me, salvation. Deliver me, I pray, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he come and attack me in the mother of the children. For you said, I will surely treat you well and make your descendants as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered." That's exactly what Yahuwah said. But then he begins to falter. Now this is a question. Oh, Ima, you have something. What's your question?
It's just kind of a little bit off, but a little bit off. Like when he split up his family in 2 companies, didn't he send Leah first? You know, the group that would, the group that would be overtaken. He sent her first, and then Rachel got to see.
Well, I think, the answer is yes. That's what happens later. But I don't know, maybe there's a reason for that, because it said Leah was had beautiful eyes, something like that. And they say soft eyes. Yeah, maybe Yaakov was thinking like, all right, well, when Esau look in her eyes, he gonna melt. I don't know. She had what? Oh, he even put the pretty one first. Oh, never mind. Hey, that's our grandmama. We can't say that. Hey, stop talking about your grandmama. She wasn't cross-eyed. All right, so let me go back. So let me ask this. Formerly Jungle, Ark. Actually, let's read this real quick. So let's go back to Genesis 32, and let's look at just read verse 24. Zakane, if you can get that for me. Pay attention, Ark. I want y'all to answer this. The Benaim and Ark, the Akio, y'all don't really know this, or the daughters, y'all know this.
Genesis 32 and 24. He took them and sent them across the stream, and he set across whatever he had.
Mm-hmm. Next verse.
So Jacob remained all by himself. Then a man wrestled with him until the break of dawn.
All right, so this is for the Benaim. If a man wrestled with Jacob to the break of dawn, at what time of day or night were they wrestling? Come on.
During the 4th watch.
During the 4th watch. What time do y'all pray?
During the 4th watch.
Is that the number 4 again? So Jacob was wrestling in the dark season. Listen to me. Listen to what I'm saying. Jacob was wrestling in the dark season. So the 4th watch, like Yirmiyahu brought out, that's actually the darkest time. That's the same time that Yahusha walked on the water. It's the darkest time. The night is at its pitch black at that moment. Y'all heard the saying it's darkest before the light, right? Have y'all heard that? That's true. The 4th watch, that time that Jacob was wrestling was the darkest time. How you know it was the 4th watch? Because it says he wrestled until the breaking of day. That means until the sunrise came. So in the dark season was when Jacob had to do all this wrestling. It's a clue. That's what's ready to happen. It's already happened, honestly. Why you think all these trials and stuff are coming up? Why you think all these people from your past life coming up? Man, you had in your heart to do this thing, and now some old buddy done jumped up again. You done got to call, man, he ain't said nothing to me in years, and now he calling. Man, my mama don't even call me like that, but now she done called me 5 times this week. All we doing is arguing now. Why y'all think this stuff is happening? That's because Jacob was afraid of Esau. He was afraid of Esau. He been afraid of Esau. What happens is that Yahuwah in this season is getting ready to wrestle with us about the things that we were ensnared to before. I asked the question, I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago, what oppresses you? I had y'all write that down. Hopefully you filled it out and you at least meditated on it and thought of it, because that thing that oppresses you, you about to have to fight with. Now before, Yahuwah was just, hey, you in this situation, Yahuwah was just taking us out of situations. Oh, you from this place? I'm gonna just move you. Oh, these people doing what? I'm gonna move them. Oh, you had these thoughts? You know what? Just don't watch no more TV. That's what Yahuwah was doing for a while. He was giving us space and time to heal. But now that you're supposed to be healed, you're getting ready to wrestle again. Because see, it was that fear that Yahuwah was coming after. That's what Yahuwah was coming after with Jacob. Because he originally set his people in 2 different camps. Then all of a sudden what you see is the night comes, he like, hey, come on, get up. Hey, come on, get up, we about to go, get up. Woke up everybody in the tribe, had them cross the river, and then he was on his way over the river, and then all of a sudden the man started wrestling with him. Basically Yahuwah was saying, no, you're not running. You're not running. That's what Yahuwah is telling a lot of us. That's what Yahuwah is telling a lot of y'all. You're not running no more. So that conversation that you don't want to have with your mom, guess what you about to do? Right? You about to have it. Because we're no longer going to run. You're going to have to strive with that darkness now. If you worried about losing, that came up like 3-4 times. Worried about children. Guess what you about to have to worry about? You have to strive with that. Yahuwah ain't going to just sweep it under the rug no more, because you're supposed to be walking in Aruka. Jacob had been through all these things. He just prayed to Eluah and said, Eluah, this is what you said. If you bring me back here, when he originally left, he said, if you bring me back to this place, you will be my Eluah. He didn't call him his Eluah. He said Eluah of my forefather, or Eluah of my father, Abraham and Isaac. He didn't say my Eluah. But now he prays in verse 9 through 12, and he's like, you are my Eluah. That's what we did. We did that. We've been in situations, especially when we was in Babylon. Man, Yahuwah, if you just deliver me from this thing, I ain't gonna never do that no more. I ain't gonna never do that no more, Yahuwah. Just let it come back false. I ain't gonna never do that no more. Y'all will get it later. So, so Yahuwah brings us to this place now, and now we've made him our Eluah. So now all them things that you wrestle with, you're going to have to go back and wrestle with him again. Let's see what happens when he wrestles with Yaakov, though. In the dark season, there's a reason he did this to Yaakov. Let's start at read verse 24 through 30.
Genesis chapter 32, verse 24. Then Yaakov was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of day. Now when he saw that he did not prevail against him, he touched the socket of his hip, and the socket of Yaakov's hip was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, let me go, for the day breaks. But he said, I will not let you go unless you bless me.
Say that, read 26 again.
And he said, let me go, for the day breaks. But he said, I will not let you go unless you bless me.
Let me pause you, because this is something that came out a few weeks through prophecy, that we at the end. Like, I don't know if y'all understand the significance of that. Melech Musha had that vision about being the last one with the baton. Y'all heard that one? Y'all, we at the end. You the last leg of this entire race. You the last leg. The ancestors. And why y'all think we seen the ancestors and stuff? Be out there worshiping. We got people seeing eyes and trees and ancestors popping out looking. Why y'all think that's happening? We the last leg of this thing. We at the end. It's daybreak. And there are some who are ready to let go. You ready to stop fighting, and you at the end. If you was gonna stop fighting, you should have stopped years ago. You should have stopped 2-3 years ago. It would have been better for you. You could have went and did what you wanted to do. But why would you stop now at the end? But Yaakov was like, no, I'm not letting you go until you bless me. We at the end. Don't let go. Keep fighting the insecurities. You got to fight it. Why you think Uriah been bringing that up? I've been kind of overhearing the calls. She been bringing that up, 3 weeks now? About insecurities. Why? Because this stuff is coming back. You're going to have to fight harder at the end. But if you can just hold on, I'm telling y'all, if you can just hold on, you're going to make it to the daybreak. And you're going to see what's happening. We're going to talk about what's going to happen because you're going to receive a new name, but you still got some things you'll have to do. Let's get it. Let's go back to verse 27. Come on.
Okay, so Ms. Parker, so that's what we were doing during praise and worship today. That's exactly what we was doing. So Yahuwah placed it on me to have everybody basically speak. He was giving me certain people to go to, right? But a lot of other people just went ahead and, they had it on their ruach to go ahead and speak. So Yahuwah was like, go ahead and speak these fears. Go ahead and wrestle, right? Go ahead and fight. You actually have to fight to get these things to go ahead and go to the next level to get that extension, right? You have to fight, Ms. Parker. You got to fight. So that's what we were doing. People were coming up and they were declaring, they were giving it to Yahuwah, but they were like doing it in a well, what we were looking for was for you to be able to give your all, to lay it all out on the line until you receive your blessing. Right? Now, some people did that. Some people went all in, and I'm not saying, let me say that again. I said it wrong. Everybody was doing it. So don't feel that you weren't doing that if you did get on the mic, right? That's what I'm saying, right? So that's what we were looking for, though, for everybody to go ahead and fight that fear, fight whatever you were dealing with, so therefore you can receive that blessing that Yahuwah has for you, that new function. Does that make sense? Yeah, yeah.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's a fight, y'all. And I'm telling you, don't leave here and give up. I mean, if you can't think of nothing else, just think, man, if I was going to give up, I should have done it well before this. You don't have no choice but to keep going now. You don't have no choice. I was just telling one of the sons, what was that, last week? You don't have no choice. You don't have no choice. Look what you at. Look where you at. You don't have no choice. You got to keep going. You're too close to stop. That's like getting 95% of the way done with a workout and be like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and call it quits. I'm going to skip the last set. Why in the world? You should have skipped the first set. You should have went home and stayed in the bed. You done got out the bed, drove to the gym. You done did 4 sets on bench, 3 sets on squat, and you want to skip deadlift? What? You at the end.
So looking at this verse in Genesis 32, verse 28, so it talks about, it uses the word struggled with the Lord. It says, and he said, your name shall be no longer called Yaakov, but Israel, for you have struggled with the Lord and with men and have prevailed. But if you look in the Hebrew, the word that is actually there is, the word for struggle is sarah, which means contend, have power, contend with, persist, exert oneself, persevere. So that word, let's see, it's that, but it also says in another translation, as a prince hast thou power.
Yeah, the root word for the word sarah, which that struggle to fight against, the root word is sar, which means a prince.
I just was going to speak on what Moremano just brought out when he was saying why you came that far. You should have been stopped. But the point is that you kept going because you know you're supposed to be here. So it's just because the test is hard, just because you don't see you making it through it, or whatever the reasoning may be to make you preserve yourself, to say, oh, I should just stop. That's just another fear, because you don't know what it looks like to push that hard past your limit. So that's where a lot of the fear comes from. A lot of the fear comes from, because Yahuwah already gave us everything we need. Yeah, the tests are hard. Hallelujah. But now I know that these things that we were shaken from, now that I know how hard this test was, and that we can overcome it through Him, it makes you trust in Him that much more. Because now you can add it to the things that you have trusted that He has done for you. It should build you up and encourage you, so now you can be a testimony for someone else who has the same struggle or a test. So don't allow yourself to take the easy way out because you don't want to push, or you don't like the way it feels to be pressed. The way He got the olive oil out of olives is to press them.
Shalom. This is just kind of going what you were talking about, not giving up. I think it was like Yom Rishon that I was in prayer, and then I got this feeling. It seemed like it was from Yahusha, and he said, "Tap into me so you don't tap out." I think it felt like it was a blanket statement. That's not just for me, but for.
She got hers in prayer, and so did I. Because I've been getting attacked, and I've been smelling them roller coasters again. And it was just like, I had the feeling like, just give up. And every time I would try to pray and stuff, or I would try to do a lesson and try to write stuff, try to read stuff, the smell would get stronger. They tried to stop me from doing stuff. It was trying to distract me. And it made me, it overwhelmed me like, oh, just go on and give up. You're going to get cast out. Just go on and give up. Give up. You don't need to be doing all this now. Give up. Give up. And I talked to Uriah, you know, and then I was like, I'm not going to give up. I had to be to work for 7 o'clock in the morning. I stayed up all night long, just fighting through it, trying to pray, trying to read. I ain't care until I felt that I felt a shalom. That's when I went to bed.
And just to bring that out a little bit more about that word, sarat, and its meaning to move as a prince. So what is a prince? A prince is a son of the kingdom, right? So that means that as a prince, you have authority, right? So when we're fighting against these things, we have to remember that we have, especially if it's something that we've been delivered from, we have to remember that we have authority over these things. So it's not something that you should feel helpless against. This is something that, it's not something that the Most High is letting you wrestle with so that you can lose. It's something to actually show the strength and authority that He has given you over these things.
It's just like Melchiyada told me. She said that Yahuwah coming to see who actually received the Ruka. That's what it is.
Because if you didn't receive the Ruku, you're not going to be able to hold on. You're going to tap out because you're not going to be able to tap into Yahuwah. Because your thoughts, your emotions, they'll begin to rule you. I mean, it goes back. I mean, we're not going to go into all that because there's so many teachings about the narcissistic behavior, the kingdom of the Nabi'im. There's so many teachings about those things. So we don't have to really go through all that. But, y'all, we at the end. We at the end. We got a few more things we're going to look at. Let's read 26 through 30.
Genesis chapter 32, verse 26. And he said, let me go, for the day breaks.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. So he said to him, what is your name? He said, Yaakov. And he said, your name shall no longer be called Yaakov,
Okay.
but Yashar'al.
Mm-hmm.
For you have struggled with the Lua and with men and have prevailed.
Right.
Then Yaakov asked, saying, tell me your name, I pray. And he said, why is it that you ask about my name? And he blessed him there. So Yaakov called the name of that place Peniel.
Mm-hmm.
For I have seen Elua face to face, and my life is preserved.
Go up to verse. So read that last verse one more time.
Verse 30?
Come.
Verse 30. So Yaakov called the name of that place Peniel. For I have seen Elua face to face, and my life is preserved.
Go to verse 20 and only read that part where he says, I will appease him. Start there.
I will appease him with the present that goes before me, and afterward I will see his face. Perhaps he will accept me.
So this whole time he was looking for acceptance from man. He was looking for Esau to accept him. I'm going to see Esau face to face, and maybe he'll accept me because I'm going to send all these gifts. But then he winds up meeting Elua and wrestles with him what? Face to face. So he was called, in this part here, it says that in verse 28, he says, you will no longer be called Jacob, but Yisrael, for Yisrael. For you have struggled with Elua and man and have prevailed. Well, actually, before I get to that, I thought it was interesting that he touched his hip. That was interesting. Verse 31, just as he crossed over Peniel, the sun rose on him and he limped on his hip. Now, I told y'all that the reason this Malak came is because he was getting ready to run away from Esau. He stopped him from running. He can't he can't get away from Esau now, can he? Nope. He ain't gonna be able to get away. Esau a hunter. He chased down deer. He gonna get a gimpy Yaakov. He gonna get him. So is it possible that the reason that the Malak touched Yaakov's hip is because Yaakov had this habit of running? Ran from Esau the first time. Ran away from Laban, didn't tell him nothing, so Laban chased him down. Running away from Esau the second time, and maybe Elua was like, enough. How has Yahuwah touched you? The insecurities you've had, how's Yahuwah touched you in that? That's a question for y'all to think about. But let me ask this to y'all. When is the first time in the scripture that Yaakov is referred to as Israel? That question makes sense. It's tricky. It's tricky. Because when he says this, he said, you'll no longer be called Jacob. But then look at verse 30. So Jacob called the name of the place Peniel. When is the first time? Let me give you a hint. Go to chapter 35. When he began his journey? 35 verse 21, she says. That's right. 35:21. Now let me give you the rundown of what happens here. Go to the next slide for me, love. Y'all see how he coming out of darkness? That's what that picture was. And shout out Moreh Malak Abiyah. Because, you know, man, them pictures be prophetic. Jacob wasn't really referred to as Israel until 3 chapters later. Why? What happens between the first point where he wrestles with the Elua? Actually, let's read the second point. Go to chapter 35, Benyahu, and let's read Let's start. Let's just read 10 and 11. We're gonna recap the entire thing though.
Genesis chapter 35, verse 10. And Eluah said to him, your name is Yaakov. Your name shall not be called Yaakov anymore, but Yashar'al shall be your name. So he called his name Yashar'al. Also, Eluah said to him, I am Eluah Almighty.
Oh, no, we got to read that. That's El Shaddai right there.
God. I am El Shaddai. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall proceed from you, and kings shall come from your body.
And kings will come from your body. So we get these 3 chapters. He meets Yaakov the first time. He said, no longer will your name be called Yaakov, it's going to be called Israel. But then he's called Yaakov chapter after chapter after chapter, event after event after event, until Eluah comes a second time. What's going on there? Why is that? Why wasn't he just called Israel at that point? There were still some things that he had to do. So there's a difference. So it's interesting. Zerayahu, right? He brought out his name 2 weeks ago. But then there was still, remember what he said last week about a testing he went through? And then this week, what's your name? What was your name last week? There was a testing. I mean, I ain't tell him about what I was going to talk about. I told leadership, I ain't tell him. I mean, unless y'all told him. I ain't tell him nothing. So he gets a new name, but even though the name was declared, he didn't get it. Now, let me ask y'all this, anybody can answer. What happened to Yaakov between the first time he got his name and the second time he heard it? Just throw some things out there.
He stopped fearing?
He stopped fearing? Okay. Give me some events.
His wife died.
His wife died. That's a big one.
His Stop playing. His daughter was raped and his sons killed all those people.
What else? Yeah, some. Anything else happened to Yaakov?
Reuben slept with his concubine.
Not yet. Not yet. That happened, but not yet. What else? You shout it out. He went back to Bethel. He went to Shechem. He went to Bethel. Everybody's right. All these things happened before he would be called by the name of Yisrael. Now we're going to talk about Levi and Simeon in a minute. But what I want to point out is Yaakov had to continue going through challenges before he really began to function as that. Something that came out today along with fear was sacrifice. In order for Yaakov to begin to walk as Israel, he had to make sacrifices. Let's go up in Bereshit 35. Let's start at verse 1.
Genesis chapter 35, verse 1. Then Eluah said to Yaakov, arise, go up to Bethel and dwell there, and make an altar there to Eluah, who appeared to you when you fled from the face of Esau, your brother. And Yaakov said to his household and to all who were with him, put away the foreign Elohim that are among you. Purify yourselves and change your garments.
Put away the foreign Elohim that are among you. Purify yourselves and change your garments. He had to get his entire household in order. Amma was bringing this out. They had who had the foreign Elohim? Rachel had it. She still had it. So a little, because I think sometimes we read that and it's kind of like cute. Like, oh, she had like statues. Nah, she ain't had no statues, y'all. So that in that land in that day, the way that they would make a foreign Elohim, a foreign Eluah, they would actually cut the head off of a firstborn son. I know. Oh, yeah, woke up now. So they cut the head off a firstborn son, and they would shave his head. Then they would put oil and salt over his head. Then they take a gold plaque or a copper plate, and they would put it under his tongue. And on that plate, though, they would write the name of whatever name of a lure they wanted to serve. They would take the head, put it up, put the copper or gold plate under their tongue, and they'd pray to it. And then when it would answer, that would be their form of divination. So when we talking about like when we talking about she had idols, y'all, we ain't talking about she was running around with little stone figurines. Nah, she had heads of the firstborns, and she had those things under her. So this was a very wicked system. That's what Laban was doing. Actually, when you go back and you look, we didn't bring this out last week, but Laban actually talks about how through divination he knew that Yaakov had left. It's in the Torah portion last week. We just had no reason to touch on it. So that's why it was a big deal when Dawood cut off the head of Goliath and held that mug up like this. That was a big deal. They were Philistines. They knew what that meant. He like, here your lure, and we coming for you now. That was a big deal. So Rachel had that kind of stuff, and Jacob was like, man, y'all put all that stuff away. You need to change your clothes and be purified. Those are the 3 steps that we had to take as a people. As a body, I don't want to say as a people. I don't want to assume everybody's done it, but I know for a fact as an assembly we've taken those 3 steps. Things that were idols. I've talked to several people, and several people Yahuwah be like, don't eat that no more, don't drink that no more, put that away. Nope, you can't watch that. You need to get up at this time, do this event at this time. Yahuwah has done that for all of us. The effort of that is to put away what could be an idol in your life. That's why he's doing it. So he's like, hey, this might be an idol, because I tell you for myself, you already know football ain't a thing for me no more. And I've been praying, I've been like, hey, man, Mosiah, it's been a while, you know what I'm saying? You please? Oh, yeah, please, can I watch football? Nope. And he had showed me, I don't know, I think it may have been a vision one day or something like that. But basically, he was explaining to me how, he's like, would you rather fast and eat veggies and fruits only and watch football, or eat whatever you want and watch football and not watch football? I was like, man, give me the fruit and veggies. He's like, that's why I took it from you. I was like, dang it, trick question. This is why I be talking to y'all the way I do. This is how Yahuwah talk to me. Tricky questions. But nevertheless, so Jacob had to get his house in order before he would receive his new name. Now let's keep reading and see what else happened.
Verse 4.
Yeah, hold on one second. You had something? Really quick? All right, how fast?
Maybe 20 seconds. 20 seconds. So you just said that they had to get a house in order and they went back to Bethel. That's what Yahuwah showed me. That's why I be bringing stuff out so that people could get their house in order.
We about to read it. Come on, I'll give you.
Verse 4, Genesis chapter 35, verse 4. So they gave Yaakov all the foreign Elohim which were in their hands, and the earrings which were in their ears.
Right.
And Jacob hid them under the terebinth tree which was by Shechem. And they journeyed, and the terror of Eluah was upon the cities that were all around them. And they did not pursue the sons of Yaakov.
Read verse 5 again, because we're going to come back to that in a minute.
And they journeyed, and the terror of Eluah was upon the cities, and all that were around them. And they did not pursue the sons of Yaakov.
So after they had gotten rid of their idols, purified themselves, and changed their garments, all of a sudden Yahuwah began to move on their behalf. All right, let's go.
Verse 6. So Yaakov came to Luz, that is Bethel, which is in the land of Canaan, he and all the people who were with him. And he built an altar there and called the place El Bethel, because there Eluah appeared to him when he fled from the face of his brother. Now Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died, and she was buried below Bethel under the terebinth tree, so the name of it was called Alon Bakuth. Then Elua appeared to Jacob again when he came from Padam Aram and blessed him. And Elua said to him, your name is Jacob. Your name shall not be called Jacob anymore, but Yashar'al shall be your name. So he called his name Yashar'al.
Mm-hmm.
Also Elua said to him, I am El Shaddad. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall proceed from you, and kings shall come from your body.
Mm-hmm.
The land which I gave Abraham and Yitzhak to give to you, and to your descendants after you, I give this land. Then Elua went up from him in the place where he talked with him. So Jacob
So
said,
who?
Then Elua went up from him in the place where he talked with him.
Verse 14. So who? What's the name there?
So Jacob set a pillar in the place where he talked with him.
So it says Israel or Jacob here?
Jacob.
Y'all hear that? Now Elua just said your name shall not be called Jacob, but what? But what does it say in verse, what is that, verse 16? 15? 14.
Jacob set up a pillar.
So listen, this is still Jacob doing this. Listen, y'all. It ain't going to be real. Keep going.
In the place where he talked with him, a pillar of stone, and he poured a drink offering on it, and he poured oil on it. And Jacob called the name of the place where Elua spoke with him, Bethel.
Hold on 1 second. Let me see something. Is that word? Is that? You think that's why? Okay, okay. All right. Is that the word there for altar? Let me see here. Yeah, I think that might be the. No, it's not. No, that's not it there. Okay. All right, keep going. Verse 16.
Verse 16. Then they journeyed from Bethel, and when there was but a little distance to go to Ephrath, Rachel labored in childbirth, and she had hard labor.
Mm-hmm.
Now it came to pass when she was in hard labor that the midwife said to her, do not fear, you will have this son also. And so it was, as her soul was departing, for she died, that she called his name Ben-Oni, but his father called his name Benjamin. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrath, which is Bethlehem.
Mm-hmm.
And Jacob set a pillar on her grave, which is the pillar of Rachel's grave to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Then Yashar'al journeyed and pitched his tent beyond the tower of Eder.
So why is he called Yashrael here? Who said that? What'd you say? Sacrifice. A sacrifice. He had went, so things happened with Dinah. He moves to Shechem. Things happened with Dinah. Yaakov. Put away his idols, did all these things. His name was still Yaakov. Now all of a sudden, Rachel dies. And he's called Yashrael. Now why is Rachel's death a big deal? Go to let's see that I put it in there. Oh, hallelujah. Go to Bereshit 31:32 real quick. Everybody ain't gotta go there, but Ben, y'all read that for me.
Genesis chapter 31, verse 32. With whomever you find your Elohim, do not let him live. In the presence of our brethren, identify what I have of yours and take it with you. For Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen them.
Read it one more time, that first part.
With whomever you find your Elohim, do not let them live. In the presence of our brethren, identify what I have found of yours and take it with you.
So that word that he gave right there, that was a serious word. That's most likely the reason that Rachel wound up dying during childbirth. It's most likely the reason there. Because she had her father's household idols, and Yaakov said, hey, whoever got it, let him die. You got to be careful, man, of your words. All right. Let me kind of paint this picture, because I know we doing a lot of talking. We talking about a lot of things, but I told you it's all connected. So at the beginning, we talked about. There we go. Yaakov's transformation. Yaakov was wrestling in the darkness. In the dark season, Yaakov had to wrestle because of his fear. And the Lord said, hey, man, that insecurity that you have, I'm going to make you deal with it now. I'm going to fight you on it. Yahuwah getting ready to come see us. To be honest with y'all, you anxious and you got fear? You worried about moving? Hey, he coming to see you. You afraid of what your family members might think about you? He coming to see you. Or you got these friends who still don't know you? He coming to see you. And you better be ready, because it's going to be his hand doing it. I know a lot of time we attribute every evil act to Hasatan, but don't you know that it says that both Thub and Ra, Thub and evil, come from Yahuwah? Hasatan ain't out there creating no evil. Hasatan is an agent of chaos that Yahuwah uses. That's what Hasatan is. So anyway, he's coming for you, the transformation. And then what we talked about was his name, right? He wasn't called Jacob until after there was this sacrifice. This came out earlier. I don't know, it may have been Yahya saying it, but or maybe Amma, I don't remember. But they said, what are you willing to sacrifice? It was Amma? Yeah. You said it too, Yahya? About sacrifice? Oh, okay. Amma said that. Okay, so that was Amma saying, what are you willing to sacrifice? That's what it's going to take for you to wrestle. That's what it's going to take for you to succeed. You're going to have to sacrifice something. Obedience. It might be a family member. You're going to have to finally let go. I think it's going to be that for me here soon. But I'm ready to do that, because I understand that I'm a Kohen. I understand what a priest is. A priest is somebody that makes cuttings, sacrifices. That's what you will have me doing. I ain't going to get into that. All right. So, kings and priests. It says that kings will come out of the loin of Yaakov. So when we think about a priest, this is usually what we think about. That's what we see. I know we ain't going to admit it. We're not going to say that. They ain't going to say that. They're not going to say it. They're not going to say it. They knew what it was when I put it up there, though. Kind of docile, kind of cool, you know. Probably a vegan. Oh, goodness. Hey, you killing our Yelp reviews, Imar. But, y'all, this is not what the priest looked like. Because you got to understand, Yaakov birthed kings and priests. This is not at all what the priest looked like. I want y'all to understand that the priest, the nature of a priest is very violent, y'all. It's a very aggressive nature. So this not what the priest looked like either, but this is a better image. That's what the priest would look like. Didn't y'all say y'all was kings and priests? So when it comes to these sacrifices, what are you waiting on? You said you was a priest? Yahuwah say sacrifice this thing. What you waiting on? I don't know who this was, but somebody is walking around ashamed at work. Somebody ain't honest at work. Because see, me and Hadassah was talking about this. There's a difference between being ashamed and being concealed. Man, I forgot what Hebrew word we was talking about. Something about hidden. There's a difference between being concealed and ashamed. So concealed is, I wear my ZZ at work, and you say, hey, what's that on your, what are those about? Oh, yeah, those are the things that remind me to do righteousness. Concealment. Man, what's the, I know you don't work on Shabbat. What you be doing, man? I just, it's my day of rest. It's my day of worship. That's concealment. This is what being ashamed is. I don't wear my ZZ to work. If I do, I'm going to tuck them in my pocket. You ashamed. You ashamed. And the Lord going to be ashamed of you. We talked about this as the ark. We talked about wearing ZZ to school. Wear your ZZ. Challenge yourself. Wear your mitri. Challenge yourself. That's what it is to be ashamed. Somebody asks you can come into work on Shabbat. You don't say no. You say, I'm going to call in sick. You ashamed. I got a feast day coming up. Nah, I'm sick. Yeah, man. Hey, look, you got religious holiday. You got religious paid time off. But the truth is, you got to search it, because I understand everything different. But you got to search your own heart. But there's You got to ask, why am I doing this? And that's what Yahuwah said something. I don't remember who it was, but somebody got a problem at work where you are shamed. You are afraid for them to know who you are. But you say you're a priest. You're a king. Let's look at some of the acts of the priests. Because this is what Yahuwah was showing me in this Torah portion. So the fact that Israel could wrestle with Amalek, Israel had to be, man, he's probably in his 80s. Maybe in his 90s. I know we had talked about it last week. He might be in his 80s or 90s at this point. And he wrestling with Amalek? He had a different nature about him, y'all. And we got to start having this nature about us. Like this time of passivity is done with. That time of being a caged in line is done with. It's interesting that what Dawood's vision was during worship. I don't know if y'all heard him. He was roaring. He was just roaring. And I understood. I was like, I knew, because you had told me this week. I understood what it was. That's a function of a priest. Y'all, we say we priests, and we laughed when this came up, but this is how we be walking around. This is how we be walking around. Shalom. Shalom. Hello. That's how we walked around. Outside of this place, that's how some of us are with our families. That's how some of us are with our families. Not our families in the truth. That's easy. You come to Shabbat, hey, shalom, Mark. Shalom. You go visit your family. Hey, guys. Hi. Hello. Howdy. Right? Now, again, I ain't saying you got to be all extra, but what I'm saying is examine why. Because there is wisdom. There's wisdom with this. You know it's going to turn into an argument. They're not going to hear. And I see you, Ma. You know it's going to turn into an argument. They're not going to. Yeah, you ain't never seen that, huh, son? Yeah, I ain't either. But there's a way that you use wisdom. If it's going to turn into an argument, it's best to avoid the conversation. It's not best to lie. Oh, yeah, no, Ma. You know, I just go to church now, Ma. Nope. Now, I still go to Shabbat. We just don't need to talk about it. All right, let's look at some of this. I see you, Ma. I ain't forgot. I see you. Let me just finish this up real quick. So Levi always had a violent nature. This goes back to Dinah. Somebody give me a summary of what happened with Dinah, not named Nathaniel, or Yirmiyahu, or Shannon. Come on, Zamar. Disqualifying people when they're raising. Disqualifying people. Nope, you can't say it. Come on, Zamar, bring it out for us, Ben.
Oh, so what happened was Dinah, she had got taken by them, and he basically violated her, and then afterwards asked Yaakov if he could marry her. And Yaakov, he had waited for his sons before he talked to him or with him. And once his sons heard about what happened, they said that everybody in that kingdom had to be circumcised. Mm-hmm. And once they were circumcised, about 3 days later, they came and basically killed all the men and took over that place.
That's it. That's it, Ben. Toda Rabbah. Very through my old. So yeah, they waited to the third day when they was the most sore and put two people. This was just Levi and Simeon that did all this, y'all. Now, you know how our people are, though. You know what I'm saying? They went in there and did all the work. Then all the brothers showed up and started spoiling the city. So you know how we are, though. But it was two people. Now, y'all know how many men they killed? Yeah, I don't know either. I just wanted to see what y'all was going to say. I don't know. Thought maybe y'all had something I didn't know. I was like, it's probably 400. That's what I was thinking. It's probably 400, but I wasn't going to say nothing. I was like, I really don't know. I couldn't find it. But so, yes. So Levi went in there and did this thing. The nature of Levi is violent. We're going to go to a few scriptures. I'm going to show you the violent nature of the priest. Now, what I'm not saying is y'all need to go out there and start slapping people. I ain't saying that. That's not at all what I'm saying. Everything starts internal. It starts with your own level of righteousness. And we'll see why in a minute. But let's look at Moses. Because y'all know Moses was of the tribe of what? Go to Exodus chapter 2. All these people will be born. Go to Exodus chapter 2. Let's just read verse 12. We're going to go quick through this.
Exodus chapter 2, verse 12. So he looked this way and that way.
He did what?
He looked this way and that way. And when he saw no one, he killed the Mitzrayite and hid him in the sand.
So when we read this, I think we read it like it's a story. Nah, this is real life. Imagine this. I don't need to say that. I don't need to say that. Let's see. I told I rabbi for the Ruach. Bring it to today. Y'all understand the story. Bring it to today. Who are you can say you could do that? That's what I'm saying. We got to change our mindset on the priest. Musha was of the tribe of Levi. This was Musha's character that we're seeing. Zuri, pay attention. Let's go to Genesis. Genesis 49. Yeah, y'all don't got to go there. We'll put the scriptures in the chat or something for the sake of time, though. Let's get Bereshit 49, 5 through 6 real quick.
Genesis chapter 49, verse 5. Simeon and Levi are brothers. Instruments of cruelty are in their dwelling place. Let not my soul enter their council. Let not my honor be united to their assembly. For in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they hamstrung an ox.
So it makes this verse here, I was kind of studying this because I still really don't understand why Yaakov would have been angry, which, maybe Yahuwah revealed a little bit of that though. But that word man there is actually singular. It's not plural. So when you think about the city of Shechem, they slew a whole bunch of men. So I'm wondering if this is a different occasion that Yaakov was talking about. But nevertheless, it says that their nature was cruel and violent. But these are the people that are, at least Levi was the people that Yahuwah would choose to be priests. Now, when you think about the Dinah situation, let's say that Yaakov was like, y'all was wrong. Let's go to another situation. Go to Exodus 32. Let's read 20 through 28 real quick.
Exodus chapter 32. You said 28?
Verse 20 through 28.
Exodus chapter 32, verse 20. Then he took the calf which they had made, burned it in the fire, and ground it to powder. And he scattered it on the water and made the children of Yashar'al drink it. And Moshe said to Aharon, what did this people do to you that you have brought so great a sin upon them? So Aharon said, do not let the anger of my Adon become hot. You know the people, that they are set on evil. For they said to me, make us Elohim that shall go before us. As for this Moshe, the man who brought us out of the land of Mizraim, we do not know what has become of him. And I said to them, whoever has any gold, let them break it off. So they gave it to me, and I cast it into the fire, and this calf came out. Now when Moshe saw that the people were unrestrained, for Aharon had not restrained them.
Listen to what Musha say. It don't say that Yahuwah. Well, go ahead. I'm going to let you read it. Go ahead.
For Aharon had not restrained them to their shame among their enemies. Then Moshe stood in the entrance of the camp.
Moshe went and prayed?
He stood in the entrance of the camp.
He did a 10-day fast.
Moshe stood in the entrance of the camp.
Keep going.
And said, whoever is on Yahuwah's side, come to me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together to him. And he said to them, thus says Yahuwah, Eluah of Yashar'al, let every man put his sword on his side, and go in and out from the entrance to entrance throughout the camp, and let every man kill his brother, every man his companion, and every man his neighbor. So the sons of Levi did according to the word of Moshe, and about 3,000 men of the people fell that day.
Yo. Levi was not playing about Yahuwah. And it says they killed 3,000 people. 3,000 people. I wanted to find it real quick. I have to put it in the chat. But there really wasn't that many Levites like that. There wasn't more than like 3,000 Levites. I don't remember. I'll put it in the chat. But I feel like their numbers when they went into the wilderness, when they took the census, was definitely not 3,000. I had to look and see though. But they killed 3,000 people. This is the priesthood. This is the priesthood. Is this your mindset about it? Is this your mindset? Now, I'm going to ask you this, though. What's the difference between what happened with Dinah and what happened here? What you think, Iman?
The difference is when they killed the guy, the ones for Dinah, they was random, not other people. But when the Levites killed them with Moses, they were family members, they were friends, they were brethren, they all that.
That's true. That is true. Maybe let me rephrase the question. Why was it that it seemed like Yaakov was displeased with this? I mean, you know, he has the authority through Yahuwah to say those things he said in Bereshit 49. But when it gets to here, Musa told him to actually go do a similar deed. That's maybe the question. But you're right, that is a difference.
Maybe because they weren't necessarily righteous in what they did with Dinah, because they had the people did what they asked them to do, and they went and killed them anyway.
Okay, that makes sense. So I'm gonna tell y'all what I got on that. So when it came to Dinah, this was Levi and Simeon moving of their own will. That was their vengeance. That was their anger, their desire to do that. But when it came to what happened at Mount Sinai, look at verse, I think it's 31. Let me see here. Is it 31? No, it's not 31. Verse 27, it says, and he said to them, thus says Yahuwah, Eluah of Yisrael. So the big difference between what happened with Dinah and what they did at Mount Sinai, where Yahuwah showed me, again, you're still right, is who gave the command. So when we're talking about the priesthood, we're talking about how we operate as a priest. We're talking about how we have to be, how we're going to be towards ourselves first. It's about what Yahuwah has called them to do. So again, it's not like this thing where we say, man, we kings and priests, and we will reign. Like, yeah, hallelujah, that's true. All of that is true. But there's a job that comes with this. That's why you don't really see this nowhere else that I know of. That's why the standard for righteousness is so high. Because as priests, you got to disdain sin. You got to hate it. Let's look at a few more examples and we'll be done. Let's go to Maccabees. You got that?
I do, yes.
Let's get chapter 2 and let's read the first Maccabees. You know what? I think I got it on the screen. Let's read 15 through 26.
First Maccabees chapter 2.
Con.
First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 15.
Yeah, chapter 2, verse 15.
In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city Modin to make them sacrifice. And when many of Yasharal came unto them, Matthias also and his sons came together. Then answered the king's officers and said to Matthias, on this the wise, thou art a ruler and an honorable and great man in this city, and strengthened with sons and brethren. Now therefore come thou first, and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done, yea, and the men of Yehuda also, and such as remain at Jerusalem. So shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards. Then Matthias answered and spoke with a loud voice, though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him and fall away every one from the religion of their fathers and give consent to his commandments, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers. Allah forbid that we should forsake the Torah and the ordinances. We will not hearken to the king's words, to go from our religion, either on the right hand or the left. Now when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Yahudim in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar which was at Modim, according to the king's commandment. Which thing when Matthias saw, he was inflamed with zeal.
He was what?
Inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled. Neither could he forbear to show his anger according to judgment.
According to what?
According to judgment.
According to judgment. He wasn't like, oh, I'm angry at you because I don't like what you did. Nah, this was about Yahuwah. That's what we talking about, y'all. When we talk about being a violence of the priesthood, we're not talking about I'm angry, so I'm going to just slay you. We talking about, nah, you offending Yahuwah. That's how Dawood was. Dawood was like, man, who is this uncircumcised Philistine? Who is he to speak against the armies of the living Allah? That's the kind of zeal that Dawood had for Yahuwah. And then Yahuwah said, he a man after my own heart. That's the zeal we read about Yahusha earlier when he came into the temple and flipped over all the money changers so that the sick can come in and be healed. It's not just about the anger. Look at what it says in man, look, I think many of us have felt this, and I think we kind of been domesticated to think this is bad. I know I've talked to several of the Akeem, and I know they have. It says he was inflamed with zeal. You get, that's what that is. You get that warm feeling right here. And then it says his reins trembled. You start getting that little shaking feeling on the inside, and everything feel real hot. That was given to us by Yahuwah. How you think they was killing giants? Huh? How was they doing that? He could not forbear to show his anger according to judgment. Therefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. He had a zeal for Yahuwah. Matthias was of the tribe of Levi. He was of the tribe of Levi. He was a priest. Also the king's commissioner. So he not only killed the Yahudim that was going up there to defile the altar, but he killed the one who gave the commandment. Y'all, we gotta like really, really grasp this. Like, these are two grown men. 3 if you count Matthias. This is a feat. This is an act. This ain't a normal thing to do. That's not, I don't know there's too many of us who got so angry at something that we was like, man, I'm about to take you out. Usually it's like, all right, I'm about to put these hands on you. That's usually what it is. I'm mad, I'm gonna fight you. Now he's like, I'm mad, I'm gonna slay you and the one who can. So also the king's commissioner who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time. In the altar he pulled down. Yo, I don't know who was here, but I remember we went to the lake. Where was that at, Shimshon? I don't know where that was, and we was throwing down altars. The boulders that they been to the altars, but that wasn't easy. Is what my point is. Like, it may have looked easy, but it was like a heave-ho action. Them rocks was heavy, but look, he done killed 2 men and then threw down the altar. There's a zeal for Yahuwah that we have to have. That's how Yaakov was able to wrestle with the Moloch. That's how he was able to endure wrestling, because it was for hours, y'all. He was like, man, the Moloch got tired. Like, hey, man, look, let go, just stop. Let me go. I gotta go. The sun coming up. Stop. Thus dealt he zealously for the, like as did unto Zambiri the son of Salum. This is the same action that Phineas took on himself. We even go to there. Y'all know the story of Phineas, huh? Pinchas. Yeah, shout out Maury Yosef, got a whole album out about it. That's the zeal that they have for Yahuwah. So when I'm talking about the violent nature of the priest, I'm not talking about towards their man necessarily. I'm saying because of Yahuwah. They gathered to Musha at the foot of the mountain because they had a zeal for Yahuwah, not because they was just angry. Sit down, y'all. Y'all sit down. Arya, sit down. They had a zeal for righteousness. Here's the point. Here's the point. Uriah said something earlier today. She said, Yahuwah said to call out your fear, and there may have been somebody waiting for a mic. If that's you, you don't have a zeal for Yahuwah. Really, it shouldn't even take somebody saying, hey, call out your fear, for you to call out your fear when we talking about fear. And I know it's hard to hear sometimes, so I think that might be a factor. But that's why Yahuwah had everything go quiet for a minute, and Yahuwah said, fear, fear, no more dancing in chains, fear, fear. Start calling them things out. It shouldn't even take y'all coming here to do that. Wrestling in the dark season requires you to have a certain level of aggression. You're not going to be able to endure this season without this. You're not going to be able to do it without this. It's going to take the Ruach HaKodesh to overflow in you to wrestle with this, what's going on. Because I'm telling you, Yahuwah is sending things your way. We're ready to blame Hasatan, but it's Yahuwah sending things to you to wrestle with. If you used to complain in the past, guess what's getting ready to happen? You better have to wrestle with complaining. But you're going to have a zeal for Yahuwah to make it through this, y'all. That's because you signed up. You came here and you understood that we was kings and priests. Everybody done sung that song. Kings and priests, and we will reign on the earth. Kings and... I heard somebody singing it. Praise Yahushua. Kings and priests. So you understood what you were signing up for, but this is what it looked like. There's a zeal you have to have for Yahuwah. But if you don't have that zeal for Yahuwah in your own personal life, this don't even matter. This is going to come back one day. That's way down the line. That's down the line. I don't want to say way down the line, but it's down the line. But the reason he was able to do that, look at verse 26. Thus he dealt zealously for the law of Eluah like Phinehas did. You have to be zealous for the law of Eluah. You have to be zealous to hear from Eluah. Zealous about your prayer times, zealous about the Torah portions, zealous about the feast days, zealous about your repentance. You got to have that type of zeal in you so that you can endure this dark season, y'all.
What does that look like? It looks like I may be at work and I get this feeling that tries to make me feel like anxious or like I don't belong or like I'm crazy. Okay? This is an example. So in the middle of this happening, I begin to believe a little bit of what it's saying. So then I start going into anxiety. I start going into self-condemnation, self-pity, whatever one it is. Right? So as I'm in the middle of this, I go in prayer and I begin to cry. I'm like, oh, Yahuwah, this and that, this going on, da, da, da. In the midst of my cry, Yahuwah says, get up. That's not what I made you to do. He tells me to get up and go do what I trained you. So instantly it turns from self-pity, condemnation, crying and all this and that to the zealousness for Yahuwah. Like you not about to do this to me or nobody else or the Kodashim. So now, since I know that your goal is to stop us, I'm going to stop you first. This is the same tenacity that everybody should have. When you go in prayer and you sit there and sopping in what you're dealing with, you get up and remember who he made you to be. And you go after that thing with everything in you because you don't know who else is trying to go after. You don't know if it's trying to go after a child, or you don't know if it's trying to go after your brother, your sister. You don't know what it is. But you go all in. That's what the Maccabees had on them. That's why they kept rising up in power. Because when they was in the midst of feeling all of these things, Yahuwah rose up in them and was like, get up. Go and fight like I showed you. Stop allowing the enemy to make you think that you're still dealing with that. Kings and priests, you fight that his kingdom may come. You fight that this nation may be built to his will, to his purpose. And everything that tries to stop that, you war against it.
We're almost done, y'all. We're going to look at two more things real quick. Go to Yeshayahu 63. Because this is how Yahusha is towards us. I mean, you already know this. Let's just read the first few verses. I don't even know what it is. Just start at verse 1. Might be like 4 verses. Yeshayahu 63.
Isaiah chapter 63, verse 1. Who is this who comes from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? This one who is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I who speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Why is your apparel red, and your garments like one who treads in the winepress? I have trodden the winepress alone, and from the peoples no one was with me. For I have trodden them in my anger, and trampled them in my fury. Their blood is sprinkled upon my garments, and I have stained all my robes.
He said, I trod them down with my what?
Anger.
Look at this. Which thing Matthias saw, he was aflame with zeal, and his reins trembled. Neither could he forbear to show his anger. Keep going. In Isaiah 63.
And trampled them in my fury.
Fury, that could be another word for zealousness. Look at that. I was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled. That's fury. Yahusha the same way. Yahusha is the same way, y'all. We gotta really understand this thing. There's no reason we should come in here and be heavy laden. You better get to warring during the week. These are windows. We ain't got a lot of time. I told you we're at the end. You better get to warring, get to fighting. Where is your zeal? Where is your anger? Where's your zeal for the law of Eluah? It ain't about doing it at your workplace. It's about doing it in your home. Jacob had to get his house in order. And he wasn't called Yashrael until he sacrificed, y'all. Man, is this making sense? Y'all understand what I'm saying? Y'all don't go out there slapping nobody and you in sin. Yeah, Phineas had to be pure. He had a zeal for the law of Eluah. He like, how dare you do this in the camp? Last thing. So after he was called Yashrael, this will be real quick. Go to Deuteronomy 4, I believe. I think it's Deuteronomy 4. So at the beginning of this Torah portion, we saw that Jacob was afraid. But look what happens to his descendants. Deuteronomy 4. Oh, man, I don't think that's it. Let's see here. Hold on. Deuteronomy 2. I want you to look at, I wanted to get into the Horites, but we're going to be a little late. Deuteronomy 2, let's look at verse 7. 7 through 13.
Con. Deuteronomy chapter 2, verse 7. For Yahuwah your Eluah has blessed you in all the work of your hand. He knows you're trudging through this great wilderness. These 40 years Yahuwah your Eluah has been with you. You have lacked nothing. And when we passed beyond our brethren, the descendants of Esau who dwell in Seir, away from the road of the plain, away from Elath and Ezrion Geber, we turned and passed by way of the wilderness of Moab. Then Yahuwah said to me, do not harass Moab, nor contend with them in battle, for I will not give you any of their land as a possession, because I have given Ar to the descendants of Lot as a possession. The Amim had dwelt there in times past, a people as great and numerous as tall as the Anakim. They were also regarded as giants, like the Anakim. But the Moabites called them Emim. The Korites formerly dwelt in Seir, but the descendants of Esau dispossessed them and destroyed them before them, and dwelt in their place, just as Israel did to the land of their possession, which Yahuwah gave them. Now rise and cross over the valley of Zered.
Go up to, my bad. Go up to verse 4 real quick. Just read 4 and 5.
Verse 4, and command the people, saying, you are about to pass through the territory of your brethren, the descendants of Esau, who live in Seir, and they will be afraid of you.
What?
They will be afraid of you.
Wasn't Jacob afraid of Esau? So now all of a sudden Esau's afraid of Israel? That's because Israel, to this point, they wrestled. This isn't the first people that came out of Egypt in Deuteronomy. This is descendants. They've been wrestling. And now Esau, they become mighty because now Esau's afraid of them. That's what the transformation looks like. Y'all, that's how it is here. That's what's happening here in this nation. That's what's happening. At one point, we would run at the sound of a leaf shaking. It's part of the curses. But now you're going to see, y'all see, the nations will begin to fear us. That's what happened with Jacob. After they left and changed their clothes and their garments, he said, I will put the fear of the nations on you. But it's going to take a sacrifice for us to go there. Family, everybody's made a level of sacrifice to some extent, and that's what it's going to take coming up. But if you're able to do it, Yahuwah is going to move you into this level of authority to where the oppressor is now going to be afraid of you. To where now you can have this zeal for the law. You can have the zeal for Alua, and we can begin to reign as kings and priests now, because that's what Yahuwah created us to do. But before we get to all this, epigenetics, DNA, cycles, everything we've been talking about. That's what it's going to take. That's what I got. Y'all got anything? Hallelujah. You said, Khan? I thought you was thinking. Okay.
I just want to say it's very, very important. Very important to watch what you are allowing yourself to be consumed in. Make sure that you're not consumed in yourself. Make sure you're consumed in the word, the prophecies, the things that Yahuwah has spoken, the words that he speaks in the scripts, the things that the Malakim are bringing out, the Mushalim. Make sure that these are the things that you are consuming yourself with. Because a lot of things that we don't understand is because we missed some lessons. It's already been shown how to do these things. It's already been talked about. So that way you can't pervert it. It's about going back and getting what you need. Storing more tools in your bag so you can know how to fight. It's not about giving in. It's not about quitting. That's not what he made us to do. So you need to stand firm. Be honest with yourself. If you don't know how to do something, you need to say, I got fear and I don't even know how to get rid of it. What do I need to do? What steps I need to take? But you got to be obedient when he speaks. You got to be obedient. You can't walk in fear, can't walk in doubt. Oh, this thing is such a big mountain. I can't do it. Yes, you can. You don't even take time to look at how many mountains you done cast into the sea. You're only looking at the one in front of you. But all of them were experiences to build you up to the one that you're in front of right now. So keep pressing. That's why I put that song in the chat. Keep pressing on. Because there's a war between your spirit and your mind. You have to keep on fighting it. You have to. Because that's the false you. This fleshly part of you is the false you that wants a sense of security from anything it can grab from. It runs from the word. It runs from you being taught. It runs from you listening to what the Malakim say, what the Mushalim say. Double honors Mushal. But it's about staying consistent. It's about staying consistent. Stay in the word, stay in the teachings. Whatever you feel you don't understand, go search it out. It's in those lessons. All these lessons the Mushalim did, the Malakim, it's so much that's out there. So much. Things that you never even understood is already explained. How to beat this war that you're in right now, it's already explained. It's just about us doing the work, having wisdom in how we move, making sure that we're not leaning to our own understanding, making sure we're not feeding the flesh.
Can I say something real quick?
So I was speaking of our eternal self versus our fleshly self. And I was speaking of us not allowing our fleshly self to consume our appetite. But by taking the things, the words, the lessons, the prophecies, and using those things to be consumed in us, instead of us being consumed in the appetite of what the flesh wants. And I was speaking of how the flesh will make you not watch the lessons. The flesh will make you not be obedient because it builds up all of these insecurities. The flesh will make you, most I tell you, go watch this lesson. You'll watch half of it knowing that you needed something from it and then get distracted by other things. That's all because of the flesh. So don't listen to the flesh. You know that you need the food is for your appetite to be built up to be able to pass the test that you're enduring right now.
Hallelujah. I'd like to slam back on everything that's been said. It was a very through blessing, Maury Manu. He touched on a lot of points. The main thing is keeping the what you do in the private is going to reflect what you do in the public, you know. So just like she was just saying, you know, make sure you stay in the scriptures. Make sure you're praying, hit your prayer times. Keep on fighting because you know the flesh is weak, but the spirit is willing. So just make sure we stay in the wall and keep that enthusiasm, keep that zeal for the Most High. You know, when you see something wrong, don't be afraid to be that light. Don't be afraid to be that light in the darkness. You know, point people in the right direction. So very through lesson, and I enjoyed it a lot. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. I was just going to touch on that warrior priest. Another time was when Yahusha, towards the time where he was about to go to Jerusalem and then he was going to be sacrificed, he had his disciples James and John. And James and John were called the sons of thunder. Now the sons of thunder, that word thunder actually means rage. It's not the word thunder. It's ben ragas. Ragas is rage. And if you remember, they was pretty violent because they was like, say, do you want us to call down fire on this place like Elijah? And he was like, you know, he had told them no, not at the time, but just another aspect of, you know, our people being, having that type of warrior mindset. And even Kepha or Peter, he cut that dude's ear off. I submit to you, he was trying to cut his head off, but only caught his ear. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Nah, he was trying to cut his head off.
I didn't think about that for real. Who
trying to cut somebody's ear out now.
Right.
He was going for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He had a good friend that went like this.
Yeah, he probably used head movement. He probably slipped it, got his ear cut off. That's wild, man. I didn't think about that, man. He was trying to take him out. But that was out of zeal for Yahuwah because they were trying to take Yahusha. So, I see you, Nathaniel. Let me land back real quick because, man, it's powerful, powerful word. Zealousness. If y'all look at what zealousness really means, I don't know if Maury got into that. You got into that? So zealous, it literally is the same Hebrew word for being jealous. So zealous is the same Hebrew word for being jealous. So a third way to look at it is if there's a third way of being zealous and there's a wicked way. You know what I'm saying? But Yahuwah is zealous about his people. Yahuwah is zealous about his bride. That's why he loves someone. He'd rather you be hot or cold. He loves his people to be zealous about him. You know what I'm saying? It's just like for those who are married, you ain't just gonna let, let's say you in a public place, let's say you at a restaurant and you walk by and a dude see your wife and was like, oh yeah, that's a nice one, boom, and give her a tap. And you right there, you know. And I'm not advocating for violence or nothing like that. But in reality, being real, most husbands out of their zealousness for the Isha is gonna be like, hey, hold on, partner, what you doing here, man? What's good? Or it might not even be no words. It might just be some furniture shaking. It's a natural, that's a natural response when someone's in a covenant relationship with somebody else out of their zealousness for that person. Now, if you're out there at the restaurant with your coworker and you just had a job function and somebody does that, oh, look at that, tapping in the bag, you're gonna be like, oh, that's messed up right there. Hey, what's on the menu? You see what I'm saying? But if it's somebody you in covenant with, you might. Again, I'm not advocating for it because listen, let me say this real quick first. Let me say this. All right, y'all, if y'all at a restaurant and something go down like that, it's actually best not to do nothing physical. The best thing to do is try to figure out a way out of that situation. This is why. The reason why it's not wise to move like that in Babylon is because you being a Hebrew, you're going to be the one that's looked at. If anything violent take place, and the police get involved, then it's almost out of your control what can happen after that. So we got to be wise, you know what I'm saying? I'm just talking reality. So I'm talking about how we should move, and I'm talking about reality, you know what I'm saying? And reality, out of your zealousness, you will be upset. You will be angry, and something could happen. You see what I'm saying? And that's how Yahuwah wants us to be like that for him. Like that's the priesthood. That's the priest. The priests are the representatives of the bridegroom. We talked about that a whole lot of times. The priests are the representatives of the bridegroom. They do the bridegroom stuff. They're the ones go in there and walk in the midst of the menorah, don't they? Just like Yahusha, right? They go in the holy place, walk in the midst of the menorahs. They're the ones going to Holy of Holies. They're the ones that go inside the womb. They move as the bridegroom. And so you're supposed to be zealous like a bridegroom. That's the priest. So I'll give y'all another example. We talked about this before, but y'all know somebody talk bad about your mama. Y'all remember how that used to be? Yo mama, y'all remember how that used to be? That always used to be fighting, right? Yo mama, wait, hold on, bro. What you say about my mama, fam? it's a zealousness that you have because that's your mother who birthed you. You know what I'm saying? That dude might not even know your mama, but you ready to fight now because he said your mama. You ready to go to jail. Don't nobody talk about my mama. Nobody talk about my mama. Because that's a zealousness. I'm trying to paint it. That's how we supposed to be with Yahuwah is what I'm saying. We supposed to have that type of, like, man, what you say about the Most High? You know, I'm not saying to do no violence, but it's a heart thing is what I'm saying. That's the way your heart's supposed to be towards the Most High. It's a zealousness we're supposed to be to where there's certain things we're not going to tolerate. We're not going to tolerate disrespecting the Most High in our household. You know what I'm saying? Maybe, you know, you got a spouse that's not in the truth. Okay, that's cool. But there's certain lines we're not going to cross in the household, though. You're not going to disrespect Yahuwah. You're not going, you know what I'm saying? And so that's the priesthood. That's the priesthood. It's interesting that all the priests, we talked about this a few weeks ago, that all the priests were meat eaters. Like, all the priests had to eat meat. They had to, though. It was a commandment. All the priests had to offer up sacrifices. You know, you brought that out, Maury? All the priests had to offer up sacrifices regularly. What would you think about what you got to do to offer up a sacrifice? You got to take an animal. You got to literally cut his throat, and you got to let him bleed out. Then you got to cut him open. Oh, thank you, Bob. Then you got to cut him open. After he bleeds out, you got to pour all the blood on the ground, cut him open, spread out his entrails. That's a whole burnt offering. Read the whole burnt offering, what you got to do. This is what the priest did every day. Boker and Arel. Cut the head, cut the pieces, spread it up out and put it on the altar, and they offering it up to Yahuwah. Every day. So you think someone who's doing that on a regular basis, you think they don't got no problem cutting somebody? Now you see why Phinehas, it was easy for him to thrust them through when they went against Yahuwah like that. That was light work because he's doing this every day with the sacrifices. I wonder what spear he used. He might have used one of them spears he was using for the sacrifices on them. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just saying it's just a certain type of mindset and perspective that you're moving as a priest. That's why Yahuwah called Yisrael his battle axes. He said Yasharel is his battle axes. Sons are like the arrows in a quiver. He didn't say that sons are like having dandelions in the pot. He didn't say that. He said having sons is like the arrows in the quiver. What do you do with arrows? You hunting, you shooting, you killing. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
That's Yahuwah. Because we had the word for altar, but I was like, man, we already been going a long time. Like, you know, I ain't gonna say nothing about it. But since you there, so Bereshit 35:1, that's one of the things Yaakov did before he was called Yisrael. He had to build an altar. This is the Hebrew word for altar. Love, you remember the breakdown? Adasa? You remember the breakdown you got for it? It's not on here. Oh man, we didn't write it down. It's probably in your phone, but it was something like it was like what separates the house, or something like that. I can't remember how it goes. Cutting that separates the house. Yeah, that was it right there. So the on the left there, that's the word for altar. The root word for altar there is sacrifice, the bak. And even then, that word comes from bak, which I think means to cut or to tear or something like that. But as you was bringing that out, Mushal, that's actually one of the things that Yaakov set up before he was called Yisrael. Before he got his name, he had to go build an altar when he left Bethel. He built a whole altar, and that altar would actually, well, we don't know if it's the same altar, but the next sacrifice that would happen at Bethel was actually by what's the son of Solomon, the northern king? Rehoboam or Jeroboam. I think it was Jeroboam. But nevertheless, I was just going to the point that he had to build an altar which requires a sacrifice. And that's what kept coming out of worship today. What is your sacrifice? Come sacrifice your fears. Come sacrifice your insecurities. So it's just about having that altar there to have that sacrifice. Because that's the only way to be really moved into another name to your function. It's got to be a sacrifice there.
Man, that's powerful. So, so Zarayahu, did you tell him what the Most High told you about your name and how it was through what? Yeah. Yeah. That stuff is deep, but I'll praise to the Most High.
So we got Ima Oriya. She said, hallelujah. Yahuwah is so through to us. Nope. Yahuwah is so through to show us everything that is coming so we won't be blindsided. No more running. No more running. He said that the promise, he said what the promise is, he should have believed on them, just like the promise he told us. You talking about when Jacob was running from Esau again. God, yeah, he had the promise. And then we got Bethel.
Let me jump in real fast on the priesthood. So the other nations knew this too, as far as the priests. Because why do y'all think? What do y'all think the Spanish Inquisition was? Who was doing it? Who was going out there and making these declarations against the Israelites and like cutting them down left and right on behalf of their allure? These were priests. These were the priests, y'all. These were Catholic priests going up and making these declarations and causing these things that led to the transatlantic slave trade. They were taking people out left and right. They had a whole thing of bones of Israelites in their church. Walls made of bones, y'all. They were priests. The KKK, they was moving like priests. They would have a burning cross. They were huge with their Christianity. They were huge with they sect of it, I guess you would call it. But what I'm saying is that this ain't no foreign thing. The priests move as warriors, soldiers. They're like the frontline soldiers of Yahuwah. At least the Yahuwah's priesthood. They're like the frontline soldiers of the Most High. And so this is putting things into perspective. Because I know y'all, when we think of priests, you know, growing up in Babylon is just like this. Oh, you got it? Oh, yeah, let me see that. And it's like, I am a priest. Yeah, you know, and it's like, love, turn the other cheek, because I'm a priest. And that's what you think, and that ain't, in real life, that was never no way none of the priests moved. Not real priests. Real priests who dealt with Alua and man, ain't none of them move like that. Ain't not zero. People try to say that about Yahusha, that he was like that. Yahusha wasn't nothing like that. Not even when he was on, even when he came for peace. Well, he didn't. He said he didn't come for peace, but for us with a sword. So I can't say that. But when he appeared, that he came, when he came to save, even then he was throwing tables. He told his people to get the sword. The people that he called out. He ain't called out no weak people to be his followers. They was expecting for him to call out the Pharisees and the educated and those who were well learned in the scriptures. Man, he went and got the uneducated. He got the fishermen, man. He got the hood ox. He did. Man, Peter and them, they were like, man, these dudes are unlearned. How do they have all this wisdom? Like the Pharisees is like, man, who is these dudes? Man, these dudes ain't even come up in none of the schools. And Yahusha called them and had them. They were tearing up the Pharisees in debates and the scriptures and wisdom and everything. But I submit to you that Yahusha was looking for Akeem who was strong, Akeem who was zealous, more than he has the best book smarts. He, is well learned in the Pharisaical order. He did pick one. He got Saul. And think about who Paul was. Paul was the only Pharisee that he called out. And think about Paul, y'all. He was so zealous about the Most High that at first he was zealous for the wrong, in a wicked way, and the Most High, had to call him out, knock him off his horse, and he used that, but he called him for a reason. That same energy he had, he used for righteousness, and he was cold in the kingdom. Cold. Yeah, Paul was responsible for killing innocent people. He was responsible for getting innocent people locked up and everything, and Yahuwah knocked him out and had him doing it the right way. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just trying to paint, man, with the priesthood, it's an authority, it's an umph. Ain't no weak people in the Most High's priesthood. Even when you turning the other cheek when it comes to your brethren, that's still a strength, though. That's not out of weakness or fear. You turning the other cheek out of weakness or fear, that ain't what, that ain't it. That ain't what the Most High talking about. But you turning the other cheek out of strength and self-control, and because it's your brother, it's your Ak, or it's your Cody, that's a whole different story. See, they want you to turn the other cheek because you're scared of the other nations. You're scared of what can happen. They want you to do that out of fear and out of weakness and out of, what's the lack? I can't remember the word for lack of faith. But out of that. And that's supposed to be out of doubt, and that's supposed to be righteousness. Oh, no. Actually, Yahuwah said that you won't inherit the kingdom of Elua if you are a coward. In Revelation, it said the cowards will be outside the gate. You got to be the opposite of that in the priesthood. That's why the priesthood is always small. The priesthood was always small, always. We talked about this in the men meeting. The priesthood was always small, all throughout the scriptures. In the beginning, you had Aharon, right? And then Yahuwah said the sons of Aharon are the priests. That's for me. Tell them about Bob. Yeah, I appreciate that. But the sons of Aharon were the only priests. Think about the beginning, y'all. I'll end it here. I'll stop here. But in the beginning, you had Aharon, you had Nadab, you had Abihu, you had Eleazar, and you had Ithamar. How many people is that? Let me think. Aharon, Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, Ithamar. Dang, I didn't think about that. That's 5 that made up the priesthood in the wilderness. In the beginning, it was 5. And then Yahuwah came and took out Nadab and Abihu. Remember all the sacrifices they had to do every day. They were the only one that could do sacrifices. That wasn't all the Levites that could do sacrifices, only Aaron and his sons. It was only them 5 people that were able to do those sacrifices every day, the daily offerings, that were able to they had to keep the menorah going 24/7. They had to keep the altar of incense going, every Arab and Boker. And they had to go in the Holy of Holies every year, 5 people. And then Yahuwah took out 2 out of that 5. On top of that, with Nadab and Abihu, that could have been real discouraging for Aharon. Like, man, okay, it's just us. We're gonna have to do this work. You know, on top of that, Aharon was probably, you know, that was probably hard. You lost 2 sons. But my point is, the priesthood was always small. It was. I heard Maury talking about how there wasn't a lot of priests even during the time when they cut down to 3,000. The priesthood was always small. Hallelujah.
Okay, so I just had a comment about when Maury Manu was saying that we have to start being passive and start getting aggressive. So something happened at work today, and then after the whole thing happened, Yahuwah was kind of showing me like why it happened. So I don't pump my milk throughout the day and take it to Iman Shifra so she could feed Shamar, because my job is only like 6 minutes away from the house. So I had plug in my pump, and my block that I plug it into is a fast charging, like it's a warp charger. So I charge one of the pumps and then I use it, and then when I went back to go plug in the other pump, the block was gone. Somebody took it. So I went to my supervisor and I tell her, like, somebody take my block, you know, can she send out a message, you know, to everybody, because it's like 60-something people work in the building, so can she send out a message so that I could get my block back, because it's for my pump. But I was getting real cross, like I was getting super cross. You know, like I was, and she sent out this message at like 10:47, and yeah, a.m. And then like I feel myself like I feel that zeal, like I was getting like really cross. So then I thought about what Uriah had said on the banana call, and she was like, whenever you feel whatever, then you start to hum, you know, to like calm down, because I was finna go off. So then I prayed and I asked her who I was like, can I send a message? Because I let my supervisor send a message, and she sent some passive message. Like, she was like, oh, there was a block in you know, in the lounge, and it's missing, so we need it to be returned as soon as possible. It was another therapist. And I read in the message, I'm like, nah, my girl, like, what is you talking about? Like, this is for my baby. Like, you need to amp this message up. So after nobody replied, nobody said nothing, and I was getting cross because now it was time to pump again for Shamar, and I only pump in one side because I don't have, the other one is dead and I can't pump the other side. So now he have less milk than he would normally have, and all kind of craziness. I'm like, nah, boss. So I pray and I ask Yahuwah. I was like, can I send out a message? He was like, can't. I said, say less. So I went in the chat and I put it in bold, and I was like, yeah, so whoever took the block for my son pump, and I need my block like yesterday. So, and then I send the message, and then within 10 minutes, here's the block. Like, all of a sudden, it magically appeared. Like, somebody put a message in the chat like, oh, is this it? Yeah, that's it. What pie was? Oh, it was on the floor. No, it wasn't. It was plugged in because the other one was charging. But praise Yahuwah. But then Yahuwah showed me after everything happened that he was wrestling with me with his people pleasing. Like, what you about to do? Like, you about to just let his passive message go and nobody ain't gonna return this block and like Shamar ain't gonna eat, or you about to get zealous and get his thing popping? And that's what I did. So praise Yahuwah. Stealing. And then I wanted to go back to the shame the shame, you know, being shameful around people and, you know, with Yahuwah, whatever. So, you know, my job, you know, is very, it's very wicked, I guess. Because, listen, when I tell you they're into holidays, they're into holidays. Like, that'll be really, like, that'll be like, oh, it's onesie day for Christmas, whatever. Like, everybody went like Christmas. Like, they really don't be going all out, for real. And so my the team of children that I have to work with the other therapists had to, like, take the children trick-or-treating around the center at a certain time. It just so happened that it just so happened that I was with the child when they had to go trick-or-treating. So I went to my supervisor and I was like, yeah, so I'm not taking her trick-or-treating around the center. So you need to find somebody else to do it because I don't celebrate Halloween and I'm not taking her trick-or-treating. So she was like, oh, you could bring her to me and I'll do it. I like, yeah, because that's the only way she's gonna go. Cause I ain't doing it, so that's that with that. And then it had one of the little boys didn't dress up, and one of the therapists was like pushing him to like find a costume in the building to like put on because he didn't dress up for Halloween, and he was refusing. He was like, she was like, he don't want to dress up, and I'm trying to get him to dress up, and I told her, I was like, but he don't have to dress up. Like everybody don't celebrate Halloween. Like what you trying? If he said no, then it's no. Like what I'm to you. So yeah, that's just that's just a reference to like the shame when it comes to like people on your job. Like nah, you gotta like be knowing what it is, cause the people on my job, like even a little boy, cause he like things that move like this. Like I don't know how to describe it, like snake like, and he'll be chewing on my zits, and it'll be like, no, you can't eat that. I'll be like, you can't eat that. Or he'll take like my, cause I don't wear my scarf around my chest at work, and he'll be going like this, like with it, like he'll be doing stuff with my stuff. But I don't like be known like, yeah, I don't have shame when it comes to this job, when it comes to like my beliefs. Like, no, this is what it is. I am a daughter of the Most High. I don't even the day that they had like the whole trick or treat thing. I had on my sweater that said Yahoo on the back and my fringes at the bottom, because y'all gonna celebrate y'all Alua, but y'all gonna know who my Alua is. So praise Yahuwah.
Hallelujah. Let me just land back on that. So people pleasing, that's something that I dealt with as well. The best way to get rid of that is to switch from that's what we saw Jacob do, right? So Jacob's going and he's like, man, I'm gonna send all these gifts so that when I come to the face of my brother, he'll accept me. But then he wound up wrestling with a Moloch, and he said, Peniel, because now I've seen the face of Alua and I've lived. The best way to get rid of people pleasing is go into pleasing Yahuwah. Like take that same energy and same effort and say, nah, I'm gonna please Yahuwah. I'm telling you, I've been there, because when it comes to deliverances, that was something super uncomfortable for me at first. I thought, because it was actually when we get married, like 20. She don't know either. 2012. All right, so it was 2011 then, and Yahuwah. All right, yeah. I won't go into the story, but basically Yahuwah was showing me how to deal with the unclean ruach coat. But what happened is when Yahuwah first introduced me to these things in 2011, there was a certain zeal. After it's fearful and all these things, there was a certain zeal that rose up in me. It's hard to explain. Like I would begin to see these shadowy figures moving around, and then the zeal of Yahuwah would rise up in me, and I would be angry at them. So when it comes to people pleasing, it's very similar to deliverance in a way, because you begin to focus on Yahuwah. It's not even a focus, it just rises up in you. When you pray enough, fast enough, read enough, seek Yahuwah enough, there becomes this zeal, because you're in a relationship with Yahuwah. Like the example Mushal gave was a thub example. Like if me and Hadassah go to a restaurant and that happened, I might not make Shabbat. Cause that's just, I know it's gonna rise up in me. I know it is, cause if I feel like my family is threatened, that happened to me over a parking spot. At Costco, where Dawood at? At Costco. It was a parking spot, so y'all know how it is. I can explain this. So y'all know what it is, man. You got your blinker on, you trying to turn into the parking spot. You sitting there waiting, and all of a sudden, I'm in my truck too, so it's even worse news. So all of a sudden, this car come, and he slide into the spot. It's me, Hadassah, Zuri, Arya, David, and maybe Yasha. Yeah, it was Yasha as well. So he slid into the spot, and now what my mind say is, oh, you think your family more important than my family? Why my family got to walk and your family don't? So I pulled up behind him, and I rolled the window down. I'm like, hey, bruh. That's all I said. I was like, hey, bruh. He said, oh, okay, I'll move. I was like, yeah, you knew what you did. So here's what my point was, because I kind of rambled a little bit. When you're in a relationship with someone, there's a certain zeal that just rises up. Like Mattathias, when we looked at Maccabees, he didn't have to think about how he felt about somebody coming to offer on this altar. He didn't have to think about that. Pinkas ain't had to think about what he was going to do. The Levites ain't have to think about it. It's just something because there's a zeal for Yahuwah. Because you're like, nah, this is my Alua. See, that phrase right there, we take for granted. We say, this is my Alua. This is mine. He's my Alua. He's the one that I worship him. He is mine. I cling to him. So you're not going to do certain things. No, I'm not putting up no snowflakes on my window at work. Eventually, no will become a sentence. It won't be an explanation. It'll be like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. I don't tell them because of nothing else. Hey, you can put these snowflakes on. No, I'm not doing that. They move on from there. But my point is this, like when you struggle with people pleasing, especially when it comes to like your family members, develop a deep relationship with Yahuwah, because then what'll happen, just like if somebody were to show their appreciation for Hadassah's body by giving her a gentle tap, it'd be a wrap. I wouldn't think it would be reactionary. It'd be reaction. Like I wouldn't think about what I'm gonna do. It's a zeal that will rise up in me. And I know it's the same thing with her. You stare too long if you want to. For real though. You see she ain't be like, babe. Nah, she shook her head. She understood. Anyway, it's a zeal for Yahuwah. That's kind of go back to what Mushal was saying and what we was talking about earlier. Like the priest had a zeal for Yahuwah. Like it says that Mattathias rose up because of the law. The Levites rose up because of the law. Phineas rose up because they were offending Yahuwah. It wasn't like, man, my sensitivities are offended. It's like, nah, man, you just crossed the line. You talking about Yahuwah now. Anyway.
I have a question too. To what Mushal said earlier. See, like if I was wrong in white, as I say. So Jameer come to me this Boker, and he tell me that his private part was sore, and I was like, well, why was it sore? And he was like, this little boy in school step on it. I was like, what do you mean? Like I don't understand. I don't understand. Like how could this happen? So I guess he said like they was playing like gun tag or whatever, and then like the child like I don't know like tag him like gun, and then he fall down on the floor or whatever, and then the child step on it on purpose. And my first reaction was like, and what did you do? Like he was like, I said, did you tell the teacher like what happened? He was like, yeah, he tell the teacher, and the teacher tell him to sit down. So then I was like, so then you should have power punch him. I was like, you should have power punch him. But no, a power punch is like it was. So I just want to know, like, if I was, because you said, sometimes you got not react or like turn the other cheek or whatever, but that's not why I tell him. I say you should have fist. And then he was like, but I'll go to ISS. And I was like, no, I'm going to come to your school and ask the teacher why she told you to sit down, and then she's going to go to ISS. But was I wrong to tell him, like, to power punch the boy? Because that's how I felt.
How old is Jameer?
7.
So it's hard to call it. It's a case-by-case basis. I probably wouldn't have told him to punch him. Because I'm telling you, when you tell them to do that, they're going to do it. Especially when they're 7. Tomorrow you're going to get the call from... get the call from the teacher. So what I do, I won't tell them to do it, but if they do it, I'm not... They ain't gonna get like in serious trouble. They might get a tap on, don't do it again, that type of stuff. But I know if I tell them to do it, it'll be the littlest thing, and it's gonna be a call from the teacher and the principal. Now they in ISS. You see what I'm saying? Dad, you said to punch him because he had pushed me. He had put, you know, like, no, what? Man. But yeah, in that public school, again, it goes back to wisdom, because, man, they'll criminalize your children quicker than public school, man. As soon as you they get any kind of reputation that they fight and stuff like that, man, it'll be ISS now. But by the time they in middle school, you know, they trying to see about alternative school and things like that. So, you know, it's just about being wise. I remember Radayahu went through that. His senior year, Radayahu one of the most peaceful people, most friendliest people. So he went through his whole school year without getting into any major fights in his senior year. Y'all remember that? He got in a fight. And, you know, it was one of those things to where I was like, yeah, man, you know, you shouldn't do that. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, yes, great job. But I just couldn't say that to him. You see what I'm saying? And he got in a lot of trouble, but he was really defending himself. He wasn't trying to, you know, dude hit him first, and it turned into something. But it's hard to call it. I'm sorry, it's hard. But I wouldn't tell him, man, next time you just punch him. You know, that's how mama and them be, though. That's grandma and them. Next time, I'll tell you, you just get them. Next time they say that about you, you make sure you get them. I don't do that. Just because I know the whole, you know, everything surrounding that. But I'll praise to the Most High.
So how many spots y'all got in Ebri for students? Oh, you got space? How old is Jameer? He be in who class? He in the 7. He ain't in all my class. Oh, you got a spot in your class? That might be the answer right there. All right, Ima Uriah, Matthew 7, 3-5. Or how wilt thou say to thy brother, let me pull out the mote in thine eye, and behold, a beam is in thy own eye. As priests, we have to be pure in order to do righteous deeds. Yes, Khan, absolutely. I was meaning we don't have to wait until we get out of Shabbat to call things out, knowing what he is showing you what's in you. That's it. Yeah, don't wait till Shabbat to be aggressive and warring. You should be warring at home. You should be calling them things out at home, dealing with them things in your own house. She put her dream in here. She said, we were on a corporate job and something happened. It was like a wilderness. People was dead and we were alone. The water was in this giant glass container and it had some kind of flowers and some round things floating in it. I tasted it and it was okay to drink. We had to strain it. Then I told everyone to make homes to live in for themselves. And then start finding seeds to start growing some food to eat. We had to do it in a hurry. Before winter comes, we had to do everything in a hurry. That was on the 28th of last month. Zakane Ubal said, this is a dress rehearsal for the next level. And Yahuwah has given us how things will end from the beginning. All we have to do is walk in it and stop sinning. Kill the flesh every day and make sure your life, you don't have to pay. Hallelujah. That's what we got, y'all. Praise Yahushua. Enjoy the fellowship and the meal. Hallelujah.
Yeah, I was just gonna land back on the Ebri thing. I was gonna shout out Ebri Academy because being Christian is definitely, I've seen a lot of changes in him. I don't know if y'all really knew, he didn't fight with the students at school, he fought with the teachers. For real, he fought with the teachers. For real, like throwing rocks at him. Yeah, he has situations where they called the police and everything on him. Yeah, yeah, he got some zeal, but praise Yahuwah that here is being redirected to the Torah, to the law, to the commandments, to the tribe, things of that nature. And the crazy thing about it is that just quite naturally, that's what he keeps in front of his face. He keeps the telegram in front of his face. He'll keep the lessons in front of his face. He'll keep the YouTube channel in front of his face. You know what I mean? Like he got that zeal, and I start to see it just in how he react with his mom type stuff. You know what I mean? Like he still got some grunting here and there. Like you ask him to do something, he still got a little something to work on. You know what I mean? But just wanted to shout out Ebri in that regard. So praise the Most High for that.
Rebirth of a nation. Hebrew kingdom building.